Ladies and gentlemen, I have with me the man of the hour, my good friend and early CMB student, Mr. Ray Pang. For those of you who don't know his backstory, the reason for the interview today, we are celebrating 1 year since being made redundant from his 9 to 5. Interesting thing to celebrate. The reason we are celebrating, I'll see if we can move the camera up. Should be fine. 1 year ago, as you guys know, Ray, my bad, calling him Jay, it sounds sexier. Ray joined CMB. He was made redundant from his 9 to 5 and was quickly scrambling, needed a source of income as soon as possible. So he essentially invested the last 3K that he had to work with me, joined CMB. He spent what money he did have left, I didn't know this until yesterday, actually buying a new laptop and had to finance it over 24 months because he couldn't afford to buy the laptop up front. Fast forward 31 days, Ray signed 4 new high-paying clients in his very first month and hit the $10,000 a month mark. He set the record, destroyed James Conti's record. James, I'm sorry. But yeah, he battered your record, dude. And the man just didn't stop. He kept going 20K, 30K, 40, 50, 60, 70, all the way to 90. He's passed the 90K a month mark 3 months in a row now, which means that he is our first official CMB millionaire. So firstly, make some noise for this man. Because damn, that is a hell of an achievement.
Thank you.
We've got him for the next sort of half an hour. So I was just going to essentially interview him on his success and basically the number one drivers behind his success over the last month. And any questions, of course, you guys have, we'll be looking at the chat. We can maybe answer some of those as well. I'm just going to make a stand for the back of the camera. So, dude, I think the first thing that a lot of people want to know is in those very first, if we can cast your mind back all the way to when you got made redundant from the job. It's like, I know it's hard to remember that far back, but what was going through your head at that time?
Well, when I was made redundant?
Yeah.
Shit. So there were a lot of things that were going through my head. The only reason why I was feeling that pain was it was a really, really sudden announcement. We were doing well, I was doing well. The co-founders were loving my performance and everything. And then all of a sudden there was this financial issue that came up within the company itself because it was a startup company, right? And I was put into a room and I was one-on-one with the co-founder and he was like, Ray, I'm really, really, really sorry, but we really do not have the budget to essentially continue employing you. And and we have to essentially lay you off. And that was like a normal working day where I'm doing my normal everyday shit. And all of a sudden you get thrown this slap in the face. And you have been putting in the hours, you've been working your ass off. And that was the moment where I was like, I even negotiated with the fucking co-founder. I was like, is it possible to put me in another role if you don't really need this role right now? And he was like, no, it's not because of the role, it's because of the fucking financial stuff. So I was like, cool. And that was when it really sank in. Because first, I'm not an Australian citizen. I'm here on a temporary visa. So it's going to be really, really difficult for me to find another 9 to 5 job, whatever it is. Secondly, I do not want to go back to Singapore because I love Australia. Yeah. And that's the thing. There was this this whole feeling of lost. I was lost. I was confused. I was frustrated. I was like, what am I going to do now? What income do I have to essentially generate right now? Because the thing is, when I first started, I had no knowledge of the online space. I have no knowledge what copywriting was. A lot of you guys, you guys already know the online space, already know what copywriting and marketing and sales is before you even join CMB. I have no fucking idea what that is. I was in my 9 to 5. I was in my little bubble, right? And I was really lost. What was happening? What can I do to essentially increase my income? I have rent to pay, I have bills to pay, I have international student fees to pay, I have whatever, all the other shit to pay. And I was in a foreign country, just with my friends who do not really understand the gravity of the situation as well. So what was running through my mind was just what can I do right now to generate income? So I started applying for multiple 9 to 5 jobs because it's the first thing you think of, right? And at the same time, I came across, I think, James' case study video. That was the first thing I came across.
On my Instagram, right?
Yeah, on your Instagram. Okay. Yeah. I think it was through Jason Capital. And then I went to Sean and then I checked the case study simply because just saying I did not exactly trust Jason Capital. So I was like, who is the other student who is doing well? I took a look at Sean. And then I came across a case study. So while I was applying for 9 to 5 jobs and I did not get accepted by any of them. So just saying. I went through James Conti's case study program. I took a look at essentially everything that's happening there. I was like, hey, this fucking 19-year-old kid can make 25 grand a month in like in what 90 days.
Yeah.
I was like, if he is 19 years old and doesn't have connections and can do that, me with my connections in the startup world, why can't I do that as well? Like, it doesn't seem that hard. And I just dive right in. I was like, fuck. I took a look at my bank account. Shit, if I can make fucking 25K in 3 months, investing all my money right now and living like a broke motherfucker, it just fucking makes sense right now. I just gonna suffer right now, and I just gonna make this work. So I spoke to Sean. I said, Sean, I'm all in. At first, I still considered the fucking like 6 grand package or something. I was like, fuck, I'm gonna give all my money to you, Sean. Just make this work. And then I took a look at my finances. I couldn't afford 6 grand, so I had to go for the for the lower option, right? So I was like, yes, let's do it. Let's fucking do this. I'm gonna give my all. And as Sean said, once I invested my last AUD is actually 4.5. Yeah, so it's actually 4.5 grand for me. It's not 3 grand. It's 4.5. I invested my last 4.5 grand with Sean, knowing that I have bills to pay, rent to pay, and stuff like that to pay. Knowing that I've got no income coming in, but knowing that I'm going to make this work no matter what. And that was what I did. And of course, when you leave the company, you have to pick up your stuff. You have to return your MacBook. So as Sean was saying, I had to invest in the MacBook to make this online thing work as well.
Yep.
So I put it on a 24-month plan. I'm still paying it right now. I put it on a fucking 24-month plan because I can't fucking afford it. But yeah, that was essentially my thought process. Like, really the 3 key things I was thinking of is, what can I do to get out of my current situation? Once I find a solution, what am I going to be doing to go all in with this? And number 3, I'm just going to take massive action and make this work no matter what. So I'm going to give it my 110%. So if I know it doesn't work, it means that it's not the right fit for me. But at least if I know that if I give my 110%, it works, it's something that will benefit me in the long run. So that was my thought process. Like, just go fucking all in. No excuses. Do not give excuses. Just go all in. So that was essentially what happened. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think firstly, I just want to bring the cameras up there. That's it.
Yeah,
I want to look at you guys.
I love talking to you guys.
we have to look at the camera. So if you like me, yeah. So I know, totally forgot what we were talking about then. We were talking about camera now. Remind me what the last thing you said was.
Yeah, so going all in with everything. What was my thought process like when I was made redundant, and what led me taking action with regards to everything.
Yeah, I think when you put in that situation of, I have to do this. It's do or die. It's like almost like you burned the boats and you really have no choice but to succeed. So I think a lot of people, this is part of the reason why the program is as expensive as it is. A lot of the people, when they want to make this freelance thing work, this copywriting thing work, this entrepreneurship thing work, it's kind of, they're 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Yeah. They're like, yeah, I want it and I really want to do it, but I have a backup plan. So it's it's okay if I fail. And not everyone can handle that kind of pressure, but generally when you do have a backup plan, you'll typically rely on the backup plan.
Yes.
And you'll never have the
subconsciously
leverage to go all in on yourself. Because there'll be that subconscious thing, which is like, it's okay if I don't make this work because I have
excuses,
the backup. Yeah. So but it's the thing is not everyone can not everyone can succeed with that kind of pressure on themselves. So it does take one hell of a ballsy individual to make that kind of leap. So dude, the next kind of thing I want to get at, this is one of the questions we had from people on email and Instagram. Mm-hmm. During those first sort of 30 days, the first month, straight after you joined, what does going all in look like for you? Like what did your average day look like start to finish when you're like, I have to do this? It's like do or die. If there's someone else, out there who's in a similar situation to you, or they're just like, I want to beat Ray's record. What's it going to take? How much work do I have to put in? What should I be doing every single day? How do I do what you did? How do I go to 6 figures in 1 month? How do I go to 7 figures in 1 year? What did the average day kind of look like for you in terms of activities you were doing? What time, were you waking up, going to bed? How many hours a day were you working? Just give us a little bit of insight into that. I think that would be really useful.
All in, meaning that the moment I started the CMB, every single resources that I get, even before the first training call, I started implementing. I started implementing without the knowledge yet. And I started failing. Like I was getting rejected on closing calls because I have never gotten on a closing call before, but I just did it. I just didn't give a shit. I just took the resources, I took the frameworks, the closing script and everything. I just tried without even jumping on the first week of training. And then I started failing. And then, and that's where I got used to rejection. I was like, oh, cool. My closing rate is 0%, but let's keep fucking going. Right? And that was what essentially I did. And after the first week, I started realizing that this isn't working because I'm not going through the trainings right. After the first week, I started asking Sean, like, Sean, is there any way for me to get access to like week 4's training so I can close people immediately? And it's like, cool, awesome. And he sent me the recording like in advance. And I started going through the recordings, like implementing everything. So I wasn't just absorbing. I took it, I immediately implement. I was willing to fail. I didn't give a fuck if I get rejected. Yes, I know I will get rejected, but it's all about, yes, I get rejected. What can I learn from that? So every single closing call I did, I recorded it. I recorded every single closing call. I analyzed every single closing call after I've done it. What I've done wrong. What can I improve upon? Right? And then I think I was texting Sean quite a bit, especially in the first month. Like, what can this happen? What can I do better with regards to this? I'm not really closing this client. How can I do better when it comes to the closing stuff? And he was answering me and stuff like that. So the good thing was he was really, really supportive. Like whatever I threw at him, he was just answering me and I was clarifying everything. I was willing to just go out and fail. So yes, I signed 4 clients, but my closing rate was shit. just saying. In the first month, my closing rate was shit. But it was just because I was willing to fail, because I know the more I fail, the more I learn, the more I practice, and the more I will get better and better and better. And right now, I have a near 100% closing rate, right? And that's what all there is to it. Like just putting in the work, putting in the effort. And in my first month, I was working 12 hours, 16 hours. I did like as long as I'm awake, I'm working. That's it. Right? As long as I'm awake, I'm working. Whether it's farming, whether it's hunting, whether it's client acquisition, whether it's client management, whatever it is, I was already working. I wasn't like a lot of the times, especially when I was living in a share house back then, like with my past uni mates, they wanted to go clubbing. I was saying no. They wanted to go out for drinks and food. I said no. Right? I focus on essentially how can I get my income to a level that I am comfortable with first, that I need to be at first, before essentially I go for all these like events that it's not really important, to be honest. So that's essentially what I did. And the most important thing really how I grew so quickly was one key thing that a lot of people fail to realize. It's instead of just focusing on client acquisition, I focus on client retention. I think that's one thing a lot of people fail to realize. Instead of going for like multiple clients, I focus on going all in with this one client, deliver insane results for this client, especially when I was doing the 2-week trial. He signed me straight off the bat after the 2-week free trial on a monthly retainer, and then he referred me to his network. So I never had to do like a full-on client acquisition ever again. I just have to focus on refining my skills, refining my client management, and delivering them insane results so that my clients refer me clients, and those clients refer me more clients. And that's where I am right now. Right now, my business, we have got no outreach team, no outbound lead gen team, simply because we cannot handle the amount of client referrals yet. So the moment until we can, then we can do outbound. But as of this moment, I do not have to do client acquisition at all. And my focus is on scaling, growing the team, making sure the systems and processes are dialed in. And that's what you want, where you want to be at, organic marketing referral. And that's why my closing rate is close to 100%. Because every single client who connects with me is connected by someone else to me. So there's this trust factor, right? So I never have to do client acquisition with regards to that until I scale my team, and then we can grow to like 7, even 8 figures possibly, right? So that was essentially the massive action I took. Just implemented, spending all my waking hours just working the first month. And then once I got to the 10K a month mark, I was like, oh, all this hard work fucking paid off. I was so relieved. And then my focus right now is on how to scale this son of a bitch, right? And then what I did was I started outsourcing, I started hiring, right? Because there's only a certain number of hours a day that you have. So imagine that, how many hours of a day do you guys have? 24 hours. If you hire someone, now you have 48 hours. If you hire someone, now you have 72 hours, right? So now you have 72 hours in a day. Imagine how much more can you do with 72 hours at your disposal, right? But that really comes back down to how you essentially connect with the right people and bring the right people onto your team. So when I hit 10K a month, the first thing I did was, I think you remember I posted on CMB like, hey, I've got clients who wants to work with me.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I fucking posted on the Facebook group. Once I hit 10K, I was like, hey guys, I've too many clients to handle. Who wants to work with me?
Yeah, and you started building a team from there.
And I started building a team from there. And the only reason for my success today is my team, not me, my team, right? And Logan can attest to that. right? It's been a fucking amazing journey.
I mean, you might have had something to do with it. Just the theory, but team, helped obviously tremendously as well.
Yeah.
So I think we can talk about scaling in a little bit right now, because the way I see it is kind of, there's getting to 6 figures and then there's getting to 7, and they're completely different things.
Yeah.
The things that you did to get you to 6 figures are not the same that you do to get to 7. In my own journey from 0 to 7 figures, I've basically found the same thing as well. 6 is a lot more like, you can hustle your way there. You can work long hours. You can do a ton of hunting and outreach and all that stuff. And that can be really good at the start, but that's not going to get you from 6 to 7. From 6 to 7, it's a focus, much more on automation, delegations, and building up a team. All right. I don't know what just happened, but we're good. It's recording again. If you guys have questions in the chat, I hate to be a pain, but please pop them in again because it's disappeared. Internet, man. Internet wants to cut out. So, dude, taking this back, to go from 0 to 6 figures, let's start there. What did you do specifically? Like, if you kind of walk us through your process of how you got your very first client. What did it look like? Where did they come from? Where were you looking? What was the outreach message? Like, walk us through it.
Yeah. So the first thing first thing I realized when it comes to client acquisition, because I was trying it from the start, like from the get-go, I was already trying, is taking a look at what are some of the objections people are saying no to. Because I was already trying, like even before I jumped on the week 1. So what I did was I take a look at why they say no, and then I improve upon, find a solution to why they say no. That's the first thing I did. So I refined my process over and over again. And the second thing I did, I realized that to be able to reach out to these people, you have to think in the mindset of your potential client. What are they thinking, and what stage of the journey are they at? Which means that it starts from your profile, right? Because if you think about it, if a potential client, if you reach out to someone else, right, and your Instagram profile is shit, right? And if you think in the mindset of the potential client, he looks at your Instagram profile, will he even work with you as a professional? That's the first thing I did. I revamped my Instagram. I make sure my bio is on point. I make sure my profile is on point. I deleted pictures that doesn't make sense. I wasn't afraid to use my personal account for my business account, because even from young, I didn't give a fuck what others think of me. I just focused on what I wanted to do in my life.
Yeah.
Right. That's the first thing. So I revamped my Instagram account.
Honestly, most people fail before they even get to that stage.
Yeah.
They're too paralyzed by what other people think to even take the first step. So most people don't even make it to that point.
Yeah. And that's why most people are living unfulfilling, mediocre lives, and you guys are the rare few, right? So do not be worried about what most people think. Focus on what you think and what you want. I think that's the most important thing. So I revamped my Instagram account. I make sure my profiles are on point, and then I started working through Sean's strategies. So I did not question his strategies. I just did it. The only questions I gave him was how to do it better. That's it. I did not question like, oh, this doesn't really make sense here. Oh, I don't think this will work. I did not question his strategies, because I invested all my money in him. Why am I questioning my mentor? I don't get it. Some people do that, but I don't get it, right? So I just went all in. And what I did that was a game changer for me was I started testing client acquisition strategies. I see a lot of Facebook group posts where people are asking like, oh, what is the best strategy? There is no best strategy. Each niche, each industry, each profile is going to be different. Some people might be good in videos. Some people might be good in text. So it doesn't fucking matter which is the best. Start testing. Here's got 10, test 2 to 3. See what works. So I sent 50 on one, 50 on the second, 50 on the third. I choose the winning side, Facebook ads, testing Facebook ads. See what is the winning client acquisition strategy. And I tested it. And the moment I found my winning one, I went all in with it. I did not care about what is the best. I focused on what works for me. Right? That was the game changer for me. So using that one client acquisition strategy is almost like a copy paste. And it elevated my efficiency so much more that I was sending like 100, 200 messages a day without even like breaking a sweat, because my systems are already dialed in. So it's all about volume game at the start, especially when you guys are just starting out, finding the right niche to work in, finding the right clients to bring on board. And once you have that solid foundation, solid base, when you hit 10K, that's when you can really scale and then be more precise with your outreach messages. But at the start, it's all about volume and finding what works for you first, because a lot of us are just figuring stuff out, especially at the start. I think that's very, very important. Do not be afraid to test. Do not be afraid to try. And yes, you're going to put in a lot of work, but be smart about the work you're putting in. Every single effort you put in, every single task you put in, make sure there is a learning curve on top of that. and then you keep refining, keep improving, keep refining. And it's all about getting better like every single day. So that was the game changer for me, testing client acquisition strategies. And of course, with testing that, you want to put yourself in the right community, in the right Facebook groups. So instead of, for me, what I realized very soon, I started realizing that Instagram doesn't really generate that conversation around a singular pain point that the niche faces as compared to Facebook groups. Like Facebook groups drive a lot of engagement. People are having a lot of conversations there. So instead of focusing my effort on Instagram, like a lot of people are doing, like, Instagram is the best platform. I diverted my attention to what works. I do not have a bias where, I do not have this assumption that Instagram works. I focus on data. What's working right now? What are the conversations that are happening? And then from there, based on my experience, I focus on Facebook groups primarily. And my first client was from a Facebook group.
I think you said there were two that you focused on a lot. Was it traffic and funnels?
Yeah, one traffic and funnels, and the other one was some LinkedIn. I can't remember.
It was called Six Figures on LinkedIn. They changed the name. To
can't remember.
Agency Hypergrowth. Is that right?
I think so. Not too sure.
I might
have to check it.
Change the name again by the time we said.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, Facebook groups full of business owners, essentially, especially online business owners. You basically started going after business coaches.
Yeah.
Is that your niche at the beginning?
I didn't even niche. I was just taking a look at what I'm comfortable with, and then taking a look at the conversations that are happening there, taking a look at the community groups that are easy to get. It's easy to get access to.
Yeah,
that's it. Like a lot of people always ask, like, what niche should I go into? What niche should I go into?
What's the best niche?
What's the best niche? There is no best niche, right? Take a look at the conversations that are happening around you, because you need to start leveraging your network's conversations so that you can enter into those conversations and place yourself there. If you are in the network where you are not with business coaches, then don't go to business coaches. Go into somewhere that it's easy to get access to. Do not go all in with, I need to get into this niche. I need to get into this niche. And then you get hung up on that niche, and then you don't see results. You're like, oh, fuck, I give up. Right? So do not be too hung up on niche. Eventually, you'll find what works for you. Like I discovered what works for me after like failing so many times. But that was because I wasn't hung up on a singular niche. I started focusing on what works and what resonated with me. And there is that point as well. Like you might want to work with a particular niche, but your skills produce insane results for another niche. So why should you work with this particular niche when you know you can deliver on another niche? So there is that point as well. So it doesn't matter what niche you're in. Focus on what niche essentially that you can deliver insane results upon. Because the moment you can, the satisfaction will come in, the rewards will come in, and then that niche will become your passion again, right? So it's an ever evolving process as entrepreneurs. Like you have to keep learning, keep growing. I think that's the most important thing.
Totally, yeah. So at the beginning, you said you were sending out 100 to 200 messages a day.
Yeah, at the start I was doing 100, 200 because I'm working like as long as I'm awake, I was sending shit.
How many hours a day would you say you're working for that first month?
On average, some days I work more, some days I work less, but on average I would say 12 hours a day.
12 hours a day. Yeah. You're just going ham.
I was just going ham. Yeah. I was 12 hours a day, and then the rest of the time is like eat, sleep, and shower, whatever it is. Keep your hygiene up. Oh, health is still important, guys.
Just to be perfectly clear.
Just to be clear.
You did still shower.
I still shower. Yeah. So there was that, and when I first started as well, like I was I know when I first came to Brisbane, when I was first growing from 6 figures a little bit, like from 10K to like 25K, I was like I was working till 3 a.m. and then heading to Wade's office and then going back and then not like sleeping on the floor and then going back again. So I was hustling.
Dude, this man has work ethic, for sure. So to someone who's just starting out, they have no track record, no experience. They maybe have the skill as a freelancer, as a copywriter, media buyer, social media person, chat closer, whatever it is. But they don't have the track record yet. They haven't actually worked with any clients, and they want to start, making money and signing clients. What's your number one advice to like someone in that position? If you were to give them kind of a blueprint, a roadmap of exactly do this every day, and you'll get, well, I can't promise, but you're likely to get results similar to what I got. What would your advice to them be in terms of what they should be doing every day?
If you have no track record, what are you selling? You're selling yourself, right? You're selling yourself. If you have no track record, you have no skills, you can't prove that you are delivering results for people before, you need to sell yourself on the closing call. why should they invest the time, money, and effort in you as a newbie instead of someone else who has more track record? So you need to be selling yourself. I think that was the one thing. When I jump on Zoom calls, I'm like it's positivity vibe. Like there is this trust, know, and like involved that I can deliver for you if you give me the opportunity. And of course, when I first started, I was doing like 2 weeks free trials. So that was essentially what I did. But I communicated that, hey, this is what I can deliver for you. And that's the thing, when it comes to a closing call and selling yourself, you need to be very clear, right? If you confuse, you lose. So you need to be like go in with insane clarity. So before I jump into any closing calls, I started learning, right? I plan out my closing calls, not just to sell my services, but how to sell myself while selling my services. So that people vibe with my personality, with my vibe, and they trust that I can deliver upon what I've promised, and they're willing to give me that chance. Right? So this is when you need to know how to sell yourself. So for anyone who has no track record, when I started acquiring clients, when I started cold DMing, the first thing is set up your social media profile, right? Let's do the first thing. You have no track record, sell yourself, personal branding. So make sure your social media profile is set up right.
Yeah,
right.
People overlook that.
Yeah, overlook that. All right. So start posting valuable, like really good content on there. No clients doesn't mean that you do not have the knowledge, right? Start posting valuable content on there so that when you eventually reach out to people, even you have no clients, people see what you're posting, they're like, oh, this guy's actually smart. He just needs an opportunity to prove himself. So when I qualify people in the DMs, most of the time I try to jump them on the call as soon as possible. So sometimes I skip the 6 boxes, because if you start asking the 6 boxes, people like, especially for business owners, I think on some of the Q&A calls I was going through there as well, especially for business owners, they're like, why are you asking me like what is my goal like in 6 months time? Because they're like, fuck, I know what revenue I'm gonna get. You as a fucking newbie, you trying to ask me this shit. This is what happens. Like business owners are like, they have this ego ship in there.
Yep.
So what I did is I just avoid going through there. I just focus on what they need the most, what's the current situation and what they need the most, and then transition into essentially what do they need the most from me. And then they will say blah blah blah, and then I say, oh, this is what I can do for you. Let's jump on a quick casual call to dive deeper into whatever it is. Let me know if this works for you. So a very casual thing. It's permission-based selling. So I jump them on the call, and then this is when I plan out everything. I go in with a mindset of I'm going to prove that it is worth investing in me as a professional, not in my results because I've got no results, but investing in me to prove that I can get results for you. Right? That is the mindset you want to go into, so that your energy reverberates to them, and they'll feel like, oh yes, this guy has no track record, but based on what he's saying, he's smart, he knows what he's doing. I'm willing to go in with a free trial with him and see, because there's no risk involved. I'll see what he can deliver for me. And when you go into the free trial, when you get the entry, do not take it for granted. Do not take it for granted. People always take this for granted. Like, oh yeah, free trial, now I've got a client, I've signed a client, but they are not a client until they fucking pay you. All right. So when you go into the free trial, do not assume that everything is all set and done. Deliver insane results for them. Right? Make sure that they are overwhelmed by the results you're producing them. So this comes from you being proactive as a service provider. Do not wait for them to ask you questions. Always reach out to them first. Hey, can we jump on the call now? Hey, this is what I've been doing for you today. Almost like sending them end of day reports every single day. Pestering them. Say, hey, I'm actually doing this. Hey, I need help with this. Hey, I can do this. And then this keeps them on the ball with their business. And I've got clients who actually tell me that I love it. You're actually pushing me to do more.
Yeah.
Right. So that was the game changer for me. And that's why I signed he referred me to his network because he loves working with me. It's not just like a working relationship. It's almost like a friendship. Like a lot of my clients now are fucking friends. Like Joe, Sasha. Like Sasha couldn't make it yesterday to the premiere, but he came down early in the afternoon to drive us around in his new car. It's like friendship.
Yeah, for sure. So if you had to summarize, basically Ray's 6-figure blueprint for someone who's just starting out, it would be 1, optional number 1, join CMB. That's going to accelerate the journey, just saying. But number 2 would be basically pick the low-hanging fruit niche, which you feel you have the most connections in.
Yeah, leverage an internal network.
Then basically go all in, spend as much time humanly possible with the cold outreach messages to land that very first client, even if it's on a trial. But basically go all in just to land that one client, the first one. Then shift your focus rather than hunting for more, just to crazy delivery mode. So you really crush it for that one client. And then did you ask for referrals and testimonials afterwards? Or did they volunteer? How did that logistically happen?
It happens twice. So there are two different things that happen. So first is they automatically refer you. And then the other time is just you have to ask them. So perhaps like, for example, end of month review or end of month review, I always jump in on the call with them and say, hey, do you know of anyone else, who might want, who might see value from what I'm providing for you? And usually they will say like, cool, especially when you build a friendship with them as well. Like, that's the thing. When clients trust you, like when clients like you, they will naturally want to refer their friends with you as well. So right now, we're actually working with 3 to 4 clients who are friends. And whenever I jump on the closing call with them at the end of month review, I'll be like, hey, Jasmine, I upgraded to this. Yeah. So do you think this over for you? And then she will say, so what did Jasmine do? Oh, Jasmine did this. And then she'll like, oh, my friend is investing more. Shit, it means she's doing well. I need to be there as well. I'm gonna do it.
So it's a competition.
Yeah, there's a mini little competition. So it's actually quite fun.
Yeah, really smart. Because I think from what it looked like, correct me if I'm wrong, but basically you didn't like do hunting to get all 4 clients, did you?
Nah,
it was just to get the first one, maybe 2.
First one, yeah, first 2, yeah.
Yeah, the first 2, and then you got referrals from there.
Yeah, I got referrals from there, and then those referrals referred me more clients. So that's how I was able to grow so quick, because I had retainers, and those retainers are referring me more retainers.
Yeah, that's why I have this conviction that I talk about in CMB, where I firmly believe like your first client is halfway to 6 figures.
Yes.
I feel like in terms of work,
the first is the hardest.
It can look so daunting. Just sit there. Maybe you don't have a client yet. Maybe you just signed your first one and it's like 1,500 or 2K. And you're like, dude, I'm only like a fifth of the way there. Like 10K is so far away.
It's not.
But in reality, the way it looks is it's like, dude, all the effort is going to go into that first client, and it's like a plane taking off. Remember how much energy and effort does a plane need when it's getting off the ground? It's like 90% of its fuel is used just to leave, just to take off. And then from there, it just becomes so much easier. You have the track record, you have testimonials, you have social proof, you have experience, results you can take to future clients, and you can also get referrals from your current clients. And it just, the snowball starts rolling and it just picks up momentum and it becomes so much easier to get to that 6 figures.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. All right, so that would be essentially our formula for getting to 6. Let's talk scaling for a little bit.